And the I/O board part of the Vegas 777 set, it has an individual connector for player 3 and 4, and that controls your joystick functions and your buttons, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that's right. And then on your player 1 and 2, the joystick functions go through this wiring and it goes down to the JAMA connector, but the buttons, there's a second connector for each set of buttons from player 1 and 2. I think it's J-Gun 1 and J-Gun 2, and that's for your 3 action buttons. I think your start button for player 1 and 2 is still on the JAMA harness, and the start button for 3 and 4, I think that's on the individual proprietary connector for each player 3 and 4. And if you want to get players 3 and 4 running, if you don't have a cabinet like this, you're probably going to have a hard time, because although in the setup menus you can set it up for like 2 players and it will just display stats on the screen for 2 players, I think it might even do 3 players, the wiring is going to be tough to do for players 3 and 4 if you want to make like your own custom cabinet with that board set, because like I say, they got proprietary connectors and you'd have to make your own little wiring harnesses and everything. But for player 1 and 2 it wouldn't be too tough, because you can use even 8-way joysticks, and you can set the circuit board with a dip switch for 8-way joysticks, and it would work with those plain ones instead of standard. And you can go in and tell it a cabinet type, and instead of a midway cabinet type, you can change it to a JAMA standard cabinet type, and it would let your buttons function through the JAMA harness. So the 3 action buttons for player 1 and 2 would still be run to the JAMA harness, and it could interpret those plus the 8-way joystick movement. But all the other movements for 3 and 4 you would have problems for, because you'd have to find some connectors similar to this that plug up to that number 3 and 4 connections and all that. And I don't know about the 8-way control for player 3 and 4. I don't know how that would be interpreted on that connector. I'd have to find a wiring diagram for it. But either way, if you got a cabinet that's made for it, no problems at all. And I'll show you a little more. Let's see, inside the doors here, and I might have to get my flashlight. Got your coin mechs and everything there, of course. Let me get my flashlight. And right in there you've got some buttons for your service credits, to put in credits like you're dropping a coin if you're wanting to check something out with the game. And test mode's the last one, and the 2 center ones are your volume up and down. And I like that, because even in the middle of a game, if I'm not mistaken, seems like with this game you can just pump your volume up and down with those buttons. I always hated that on MK2. On MK2 you try to change the volume with the buttons inside of it like that, and it restarts the game. Whole game restarts. Even with Mortal Kombat 1 they had a potentiometer that you could turn just like a volume dial inside, and you could turn the volume up and down without affecting the game, but not in Mortal Kombat 2. And there's some other things in there. There's a fuse. I can't remember what that's for. It's inline fuse. It's got to be something low voltage. They wouldn't have it where you were touching these buttons so close. And there's your pots, your controls for your monitor, all your sizing and everything, contrast, brightness, stuff like that. And that's pretty much it. Your coin box is in there, hold your coins. And I'm not going to open that up because it's pretty standard. But I'll maybe show just a little bit of gameplay. We'll fire it up and show just a little gameplay in just a second. Alright, we're in the self-test menu here. I started the game up and just let it warm up a second, but just want to show you a couple options. I don't know how well you guys can read this, but use your joysticks and your player 1 start and player 2 start to go forward and backward through these menus. But you can go into the game options on here if you've got different type of cabinets, and it's got all kind of options in here for difficulty, health per credits, blood on or off, free play demo mode, health decrease timer, text, like your language. And this has English, Spanish, let's see, English, Japanese, Spanish, and that's all 3. And reduce hints, audio mode, which this is a stereo cabinet. There's 2 speakers up there. There's one right there, one right there. Some cabinets are mono like the Mortal Kombat's. This has actual stereo 2-channel output. Audio in a track mode, that's how often you hear like the game talking and, you know, trying to entice you to play. You can set how often. Right now, always is what I've got set, so when it's powered on during our LAN parties, it's always kicking up a storm and talking about itself and everything. Cabinet type, 4 players, 1 cabinet. This is where you can set up an option. Don't know if you can read it, but like let's say you just had a JAMA cabinet like one of the Mortal Kombats and you wanted to put this board set in there. You could go down and set this to 2 players like that, and it'd be 2 players, 1 equal blue, 2 equal red, and you could set it up for just those 2 joysticks and buttons that are on the Mortal Kombat, and it'll only give you, down here at the bottom, it will give you 2 status bars for the 2 players that are enabled on that cabinet, and it'll, like it's made for that 2-player JAMA cabinet. But since this is a 4-player, you would put it on what's in green, which is the default, and it's 4 players, 1 cabinet. And that, you know, like I'm saying, that basically, you know, it has to do with how many controls you have on your cabinet and how many status outputs you see on the screen, you know, to fit the cabinet. That's not actually to do with the signals or the wiring or anything. Then you got the contest enabled. That's the contest that used to run on here. I just keep it enabled for nostalgia. Codes that you can put in to like unlock some secret things like Pojo the chicken and Naked Valkyrie. You can turn the password feature off so people can't come in and restart with their player that has been built up, but I don't know why anyone would want to do that. You can clear password files so you can like reset the game if people have to start all over. Clear high scores, and then auto clear high scores, and restore factory game options in case something's got futzed up and you didn't know what it was. You can make everything go back to like it was from the factory. And you can back out of here with your player 2 button. There we go. And let's see. Another interesting one is the dip switches. You go into it, and there's 2 sets of dip switches on here. U13 is a set of switches, 8 switches. U12 is another set of 8 switches, and it's for things like, for instance, if you have this in one of the Mortal Kombat cabinets, you have to change U12 switch number 2 to on, and right now it's on off because this is a medium resolution monitor in this game. Well, I have standard resolution monitors in the Mortal Kombat, so if you change that to on, then you can run it on a standard resolution monitor. And it's not supposed to look quite as good. I haven't compared them side by side, but I do have another board set, and I might do that in a video here in the next month or so, and just see if we can tell the difference, you know. Then 49-way joysticks, switch number 3 on U12. If you change that option, you can go to 8-way joysticks, and you just have to flip the switch to the other position on the circuit board down there, and you can use 8-way joysticks like in the Mortal Kombat cabinets. And then down below there, switch number 4 says midway cabinet and harness. Well, that's what's in this setup right here for these optical joysticks. All those harnesses that I showed you that come off these, they hook up to special places on that input-output circuit board on the Vegas 777 setup. And if you don't have that, if you have a standard JAMA cabinet, you can change that to JAMA harness or JAMA cabinet and harness, and it will, you know, let your 8-way joysticks and the JAMA harness and all kind of work together, and you can play it on a normal JAMA setup. And the 3 buttons that are used for your magic, your fight, and your turbo there, they will actually function correctly. But without changing that option, your buttons won't work because it's trying to send the output from the buttons through to those J-Gun 1 and 2 connectors for player 1 and 2, and then through the special proprietary connectors for player 3 and 4. And right up here it'll tell you it's booting up 3D effects initialize. That's the graphics card initializing the disk, the hard drive, initializing the audio. And when it's done with that, it says loading game. And it'll boot your game up, show your intro and everything. There's also, I've got another video on here. If you look through my videos, it shows there's a secret programmer screen in here. And you can see it randomly if you just let the game sit when you're not playing. It'll come up every now and then. And I seen it by accident one day. I turned around doing something on my computer, and I thought I seen something out of the corner of my eye, and I turned around and I said, I thought I just seen a bunch of pictures on the screen. And come to find out, it's pictures of the programmers and stuff. It's a whole bunch of them on the screen, and then there's like a big smiley face, a coin, turning around and around, and and highlights moving around these guys that have worked on the game, and I knew I wasn't seeing things, so I tried to reproduce it, and I found out that if you use the test button inside the machine to go into test mode, like I was just in, if you use it 5 times in a row, you can make that pop up the very next time the machine boots up. That'll be the first thing it shows, instead of going to all this intro stuff, you know.
This demon, Scorn, fearing the power of the runestones, cast them to the far reaches of the 4 mystical realms in hope that they will never again be assembled and used against him. No one has dared try until now. Gauntlet Legends. Enter initials to build a character. Enter your password. Password accepted. Select a character. Welcome back, Yellow Jackal. Select a journey. The Forest Realm. You are now entering the Acid Swamp. Destroy generators to stop enemies. Join in anytime. Use magic to kill enemies.